Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Yellowstone, Season 5, Episode 3. Hopefully everybody is out there is okay. Hopefully nobody's getting in any bar fights, knocking other people upside the head with the bottle. We all need to be well aware and conscious to have this discussion about Beth.
I think we all knew that that bar fight was coming the minute that she was like, let's all go to this bar where there's a bunch of fake cowboys. She was just looking to get into it with somebody. And oh boy, did they all get into it. I've said this before, but I love the bunkhouse and I love the bunkhouse boys. If there was ever a spinoff, and I know there's like a million spinoffs of
Yeah,
this show, that is the spinoff I want. I could watch those guys all day.
they're so fun. And I think, Taylor Sheridan knows they're so fun, and which is why they had to do this storyline where I think a lot of people were probably just like Rip in this situation and just be like, no, why would we go
No,
here? Why would we do this? And it's like, of course we need to do this because, of course, somebody is going to get into some nonsense. But there are some real consequences to all of this. And we're going to talk through, of course, some of that and what it could mean. But before we do, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be here throughout all of Yellowstone season 5
Yep.
with reviews, recaps, all sorts of good stuff. We'll theorize on the future, and we don't want you guys to miss out on any of that. So hit that subscribe button now.
We're also covering NCIS and Criminal Minds. There's all kinds of other good stuff here at the channel. So yeah, hit that subscribe button. Follow us over on Instagram, which is Matt and Jess TV. And if you're celebrating, happy Thanksgiving this week,
Yes.
everyone.
All right. So here's the thing about Beth, and this is gonna be some very interesting water that I'm about to tread in this discussion because just
Whoa.
based on the comments we got from the first video,
Yeah.
people either love Beth or hate Beth. There's no middle ground with Beth right now, and I think this story and her arrest needed to happen because I think Beth as a character, good on her for being confident, good on her for knowing what she wants and trying to go out there and get it, but she's also been very untouchable. She's grown up with like this extraordinary privilege of
Mhm.
being, a part of this super wealthy ranch family who nobody can touch because they're so powerful, and it has enabled her to just do whatever she wants, break the law, get in fights, cause problems, and there's never really been that much that sort of comes on the other side. And she can still be, the Beth that so many of us know and love, but at the same time, don't smash somebody's head open with a bottle in the middle of a bar and think that it's going to be okay because nobody can do that in real life.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I have liked the Beth character quite a lot over the years, but she is too untouchable. There are no real consequences for anything she does. She always manages to kind of get out of everything.
Yeah.
A bomb can explode and she's still like coming out and being like, can I have a cigarette? I'm like, okay, I get it. It's really like, badass and that's fun. But this is supposed to be taking place in sort of the real world. And while we know that money and power, like family names, hold a lot of water, there is sometimes that will come in and there will be consequences and you will have to deal with it. And in this episode, we saw Beth have, some more wins and take down Caroline, who's real mad. And that's all fun to watch. But it was a nice twist to actually see the end of this bar fight where the new sheriff is like, no, we're arresting her. And Rip being like, do you know who this is? Yeah, I know. We're arresting her. All you guys can go, but not her.
It's going to have huge consequences. And I mean, not just for Beth, because, this is going to be something that gets out there in the press. People are going to talk about it,
Mhm.
but, it's going to have consequences for John too. Like he just stepped into the role of governor, and Montana may not be completely, full of these dense urban populations. There's no like huge, enormous city. There's no Los Angeles, but there's still a lot of people who do not follow the John Tutton way of life and do not subscribe to his beliefs, where they're just going to be like, wait, you're leading the state. You've got a daughter who is just like gone and caused all this chaos. And I know nobody should be judged solely based on their children, but this is
No.
This is what happens, though, a lot of times where people jump to conclusions, where people try to stir chaos out of these sort of situations. It's going to affect John. Like, we can't sit here and be oblivious to that, especially knowing what we know about Beth. I do not see Beth Dutton going into a courtroom showing any remorse for what happened. Like, she is going to double, triple, quintuple down on this situation.
I actually don't think that this is going to affect John. I wish that in some ways it would, so that there would be a little more, juice in this squeeze. But I think that the name, the Dutton name, the money, that they are going to be able to get through this fairly unscathed. We're not going to see a season where Beth is in jail. Like, that's not really going to be a thing. I don't think anybody really wants to watch that, to be honest. I don't want to watch that. I think she is going to get out of it. But man, that bar fight was so fun to watch. The beginning of this season started with a lot of political stuff, which
Yeah.
is, I'm not interested in that content. Like, no offense to the show. I love this show, but in general, it's not content that I'm interested in. So it was nice to see this episode kind of get back to some of the more cowboy kind of roots, some of the more fun stuff, because the Beth character is an angry character, and we all
Yeah.
know why. And for me, understandable why she's as angry as she is. But this episode and the last episode has done a really nice job giving us a little bit more vulnerability in Beth, which is something that we do not get to see very often. We
Yeah.
saw her reflecting on her past of things that she did to Rip that she genuinely apologized for, something we never see. And then we saw in this episode, she was talking a bit with her dad about her mom, and we actually saw her in the car getting really emotional and shedding tears. And I think we need to see more of that. Beth can't just be either in love with Rib or angry all the time. There has to be more. And some of those little vulnerabilities are starting to come out, and I'm really thankful for it.
I think it's got to keep coming, and there's just so many different reasons for it. But whether it is now the arrest, whether it is this situation with Markwood Equities, where she's had this sort of big win and she can feel pretty good about that. But I mean, at the same time, Carolyn was just like, "Bah, leave Sarah out there. She can still do whatever she wants." Like, clearly, this is not going away, and every person has a breaking point. Even if you are Beth Dutton, who seemingly walks around with like a lot of those stars in Super Mario Brothers that like make you invulnerable. Like, she has like 20 of those, but even still, you gotta hit a breaking point. And I hope we get there with Beth, just because it's good TV. It's better TV to see the walls come down with people.
All right, let's talk about Sarah, and let's talk about that whole setup that's coming. We knew that it was coming. She already set that up in the first two
Yeah.
episodes where she was like, yeah, this Jamie guy, he looks like maybe he's going to be somebody that we can turn or we can use or we can manipulate. That is coming together. They came in with this, we're going to sue you, but not really. Really, she was just fishing to get like this dinner date with Jamie. And there does seem to be a little bit of chemistry there on Jamie's side, but it feels like it's just purely Sarah's using chemistry to try to make this into something else. What's the bigger plan? I don't know yet, which makes me really excited.
Is Jamie the easiest mark in all of Yellowstone? Because I feel like I could go in there and manipulate Jamie on some level. I'm not giving you, Sarah, too much credit for this, because here's me walking into Jamie's office. "Hey, Jamie, nice suit. You're a really smart guy. I believe in your beliefs."
That's what she did.
I know.
It's so like, I wasn't expecting you to be such a good lawyer. Let's pour some honey all over this. She is a honey dripper, and it completely works with him. We have seen Jamie is such a wild card on this show because he can be manipulated so easily because he is such a broken down character. And a lot of this, I think, has to do with his relationship with Beth. Beth breaks him down a lot, over and over and over and over again, that he feels that he is not part of this family. He's had a hard time being close to John, his dad, and the person who raised him, and that he just doesn't feel like he fits. And I think because of that, people come in and they drip their honey on him, and he's like, this tastes sweet, let's go.
He's just got to be more aware of this. Like, everybody in the Dutton family's got to be more aware. You got to have eyes on Jamie all the time just
Yes.
to make sure someone doesn't sweep in and do this, because at this point it feels very predictable that Sarah's going to end up getting Jamie to do something underhanded.
Yep.
It's going to really compromise the Dutton family. Beth is going to get even madder at him. She's going to threaten to expose him. Everything is going to blow up, be this huge disaster, which will probably be very fun for us as viewers, but I don't exactly know where it goes, just because you can't sort of have the same thing every time where John and Beth end up winning at the end of the day and Jamie ends up losing.
That's a bit of my critique with this season and the show as a whole. I really like Yellowstone. It's a show that surprised me. I said this in the premiere.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with ranch life or country life or anything like that. So when I jumped into this show, I was kind of like, am I going to really like the show? Am I going to be able to relate to the show or the people in the show? And the answer was yes. They made this show accessible to everyone because the characters are so good, and it's about family and family relations really at its core. But it has had the same themes for 5 seasons now, where John is fighting to keep his land. 5 seasons. And the same thing with Beth. Beth has been angry for 5 seasons, and Jamie has been manipulated for 5 seasons. So they need to start to find a way to shake some of that up. And they have a little bit. Like I said, with everything with Beth and seeing a little more vulnerability, yeah, they're kind of moving that. Jamie, we're kind of getting set up for next manipulation.
Yeah, I hope they do something different here that turns out to be exciting in the end. Like, they've set the foundation for a few interesting things. Like, I'm really curious what's gonna happen here with Rainwater, because at this point,
yeah.
like, it seems like he is getting hosed big time.
Yes, he is.
He's getting set up for, okay, you're not doing enough for all of us. And, Rainwater has been sort of, I don't want to call him the kingpin, but he has been sort of the leader of this group for a very long time. He's brought in a lot of money, but at the end of the day, people want more than money, especially money that is exclusively reserved for the few. So that, I think, is going to be really messy. Like, how much of that we end up getting remains to be seen.
All right, let's talk about your boy Kayce.
Okay, Kayce.
All right, so Kayce really is dealing with his choice, and the choice is sort of to either continue on with his job, which helps the family, helps his dad. His dad's of course disappointed to hear that he's not going to be doing that, because he's made his choice, and he said he was going to make it with his family in mind every single time, and that is what he has chosen. So if that's the case, and this is how it's going to end up playing out, what is Kayce's story going forward? Are we just going to watch him taking a local job and, being with his wife and his kid? I mean, where does the story go?
He's got to get back to the ranch. He may not want to go back to the ranch, but somebody like Lloyd is going to come up there and just like lasso him and just like pull him all the way back to the ranch. Like,
58-year-old Lloyd.
Okay. By the way, I loved all of that, because some people out there
good.
may just be like, why are you guys so mean to? Of course, this is how people in a bunkhouse would act. They would roast this guy a million ways over.
I love the bunkhouse boys.
Yeah. All of that was really, really fun. So I just think Kayce, in the end, he's going to have to find his way back there. It's going to put a strain on his marriage. Like, him and Monica are going to get sort of further apart. And I don't think it has to be like what he saw in the vision. I don't think a vision has to define their future forever. But there's going to be a real hurdle, and it's going to be something that's difficult for them to overcome, because the amount of influences who are going to be on Kayce from the Dutton side or the bunkhouse or Rip or whoever else, those are a lot of very loud, very opinionated voices.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my one beef. I guess let's say 2 beefs.
Oh.
I'm out on the country singer. I do not care about the country singer. The whole, look, I got my cow, but like, okay, yeah, come on. This is I would be more interested if it was like the country singer and like the pure antithesis of a country singer, where it's like, oh, she's dating a Wall Street banker or something like really weird and random. This stuff, no. Also, I want more Colby and Teeter, and I want it
I
now. They are my
know.
favorite relationship on the show. They are just so weird. I freaking love both of them.
I absolutely love them. They really work so well together. Even if he's like, I don't want this. No, you do.
They're just so funny, and I that's where I am. Thankfully, a lot of season 5 still to come.
Yep.
We will be here to discuss it fully. So hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss anything, and we'll see you here next time.